Okay, so today's course report is about a course called Belterra Casino Resort. It is in Florence, Indiana. It's not actually Kentucky. I forgot. It's just north of the Ohio River. Oddly enough, one has to go fairly southwest down I-75, and then you take a small, short side road that goes across the river, and then another short side road that goes to the resort. And this course setup is very similar in some ways to a course that I played in Texas, down by the Texas Speedway. Ironically, this is by the Kentucky Speedway. And I drove up to it, and I was a little bit hesitant, a little bit worried that it was going to be a lot like the Texas course that I played, and it is not. It is different in most ways, although it is similar in one unfortunate way. The hotel facility looks very similar to the hotel that was in Texas, but the course layout is very different, and the course was in much better condition. Although still, I wouldn't say it was in great condition. There were still parts of the fairway where the course was dried out, grass had died out. It looked like really from overwatering or anything else. Probably too much rain some parts, but to the largest part, it was actually in pretty good condition. Very nice looking course. It was a very attractive course to play. And the only real problem I had with the course was that the access road, like so many courses, the access road ran through or past quite a few of the holes. And the access road in this case is a 55-mile-an-hour two-lane highway. And unfortunately, you play probably 4 or 5 holes that are next to this access road. The tee boxes are literally, like a golf ball's throw away from the hole, from the tee box and from the road. And yes, in many of the holes that I played, fairway ran alongside of this road, and also there were a number of assholes who drove by the course honking their horn. It was just, I've seen, this does happen on some courses where you have a road near the course and someone will drive by the course, they'll see somebody playing and honk their horns. This happened at least 3 times while I was playing. Just unreal stupidity, asshole behavior driving by. You see people playing a golf course. Hey, let's be a complete asshole and honk our horn as we drive by. So the road was a almost constant distraction. It was either car noise or truck noise or motorcycle noise or trailer noise or something. And between the people honking and the occasional idiot yelling as they drove by the course, it was a low grade distraction at least for about half the holes. There certainly were parts of the course that were not noisy at all. If you got far away on, say, the 13th or 14th hole, you really couldn't even hear the traffic noise. But again, on quite a few of the holes, it was very present, just through the trees, and a serious factor in play. Distracting enough to take the edge off my short game, occasionally take me out of my drives. And the course itself was really a slope 140 course. It's about 7,000 yards from back tees. It was not an easy course. It was certainly a challenge, and I definitely had the urge after playing it to want to go back and play it again. It was a lot of fun to play. There were some good shots on there, definitely a lot of very good drives, a lot of good approaches. It was not a super difficult course, but it was definitely tough enough. A lot of elevated greens, a lot of sloping sides of fairways, the sand traps and stuff, a lot of waste. This is definitely one of those courses where you did not want to go far off the fairway. The rough was serious, thick rough. You definitely paid a penalty for playing out of the rough. if the ball got at all down in the rough, and there was just an abundance of waste. It was a beautiful, nice looking course that had serious slopes on one side, up to the cart path, or down to the woods on one side, a lot of trees on the sides. Not too many trees in play, but you definitely did not want to be going far away from the fairway. It was a very good course in that regard. Easy enough, open enough to play, as long as you stayed near the fairway or near the green, but you didn't want to go, way off to the right or left. So the holes were, I'd say, a good mixture. Some of them were par 4 360, 375. Some of them were par 4 425, 450, even a 475-yard par 4. There wasn't a par 5 that was over 550 yards. And they had a couple of par 3s that were in the 200, 180, 200, 220-yard range. Certainly nothing really long, but certainly a decent mixture of length. There was a pretty good amount of water in the course, lots of swales, lots of verticality, lots of blind shots, and definitely, the crescents and dog legs of a decent course. Really nice layout. I wouldn't say it was a spectacular course, but it was definitely a nice course. And it was $60 to play this course after 4 p.m. on a weekend, which was the twilight rate. The normal rate was more like 80 bucks until 4 o'clock. Definitely one of the more expensive courses that I played in a while, but I think it was worth it. It was a good outing. The course was not backed up at all. The clubhouse closed at 7 o'clock, so you had to go into the main hotel if you wanted to get anything. I guess they have a bar or something in there, but the clubhouse and bar area closed at 7 o'clock, and I started at 4 o'clock. I got off the course at 7:30. So to me, the biggest problem was that I got there, no one was there, and I couldn't get anything to drink, in the clubhouse. But they did have a nice concession cart that ran around. They did have a GPS screen in the carts, although the GPS system itself was not working except for the first couple of holes. It was clear that they had disconnected the antennas in the back of the GPS. You could see them sticking out, the antenna connection sticking out on top of the GPS. But they worked well enough where they would slow the carts down if you're going steep downhill toward a turn. And they worked well enough to give you what I would call concession announcements on the GPS. So other than that, and one of the bigger problems was because the GPS was not working, there were no distance markers on the course. You definitely had to eyeball your shots. And I would say that it certainly proved to be difficult enough. I certainly had some trouble with my short game. The fairways were a little bit on the thick side, with decently soft turf underneath. You can tell it had been well maintained. Just unfortunately dried out in some places, or just washed out in other places. The greens were in decent condition, although painfully slow. They were a little bit on the long side, and I almost constantly kept hitting balls short, a foot short, a roll short, something, on a lot of putts. It made it easier to play in some ways, but harder to actually make putts. And I three-putted a really awful lot of holes that should not have been three putts. Normally would not have been, because I just was, not aggressively going after the putts. And it wasn't easy to do that because they did have some decent break, and on a slow green like the ones we were playing, the balls would come in around the hole and then break hard, and then run 3-4 feet past the hole down the break. So there was a natural tendency not to try to be aggressive on the putts, and it cost me some shots. I would say probably I putted at least 5 to 8 strokes higher than I normally would have. Also, I couldn't really get my chipping game going. I bladed so many chips straight up to the green. Elevated greens in a lot of cases, just really could not get off the fairway clean. I don't know what it was. I just think I was a little bit distracted, a little bit too distracted right around the green, not quite paying my full attention, and I paid the price, honestly. So it was an interesting course. It was a fun layout, definitely a fun course to play. I definitely would play this course again, but I think it just requires a little bit of focus that you have to bring to the course. You just have to deal with the noise. There's no way around it. I definitely would recommend the course. It was a nice drive, nice scenic drive, about an hour south of Cincinnati. But it just there is this one problem with the course, and that is that road. You just have to deal with it. But otherwise, I think it was a really good outing, a great outing for golf, and I will give it a B plus, despite the road, because I don't think that the one problem with the course should really hold it back too much. It was really, really nice. Not the world's greatest course, but it's definitely nice. That's what is this called? This is called Belterra Golf Course in Indiana, just over the Ohio River. Decently, very good, nice, general, all around good challenge of golf for 18 holes.